And we weren't initially real successful with the dragster. And a lot of people made more out of the transition than what it was, saying that, you know, yeah, there's a bigger change than what you thought. But I didn't feel that way. I felt that when we did switch to top fuel, we weren't on the top of the game in funny car. We were having troubles in the last year that we ran the funny car. So we had problems to overcome even if we had stayed running the funny car, because, I mean, Bruce Larson won the World Championship that year, and then the next year we went to top fuel. And there was problems that we had already encountered in the funny car that would carry on to the dragster that we had to overcome anyway. So that was all in the part of the transition. It wasn't just a matter of going from a funny car to a top fuel.
We didn't win anything in 1990. The closest we came was runner-up at Denver in the first season. Yeah, we were pretty frustrated, sure. One, we came out in the top fuel hoping that we could at least compete with them, and we were having a hard time with it. So, yeah, it was pretty frustrating. You know, it was frustrating in 1982 and 83 and 84 for a while, too. And I remember back to those days that it took us a while to get it figured out. But once Dale got it figured out, we could dominate with it, or at least have a chance. So, you know, we were all probably frustrated to a point that it wasn't as much fun. But at the same time, it was still fun being out there in top fuel and knowing that someday it was going to get turned around.
From the highs of 4 Winston championships to the low of only 1 final round appearance in 1990, if Kenny Bernstein and Dale Armstrong's debut in top fuel was less than spectacular, they more than made up for it in 1991. It began at the Arizona Nationals when Kenny became the last member of the Krager 4-second club, and continued through to the end of the season when Kenny won the Budweiser Top Fuel Classic. In between, Kenny won a record 6 Top Fuel titles and finished within a whisker of Winston champion Joe Amato.
Welcome back to the world of winners, Kenny Bernstein.
Oh, thank you, Steve. It's been a long 18 or 19 months. I'm telling you, it's been tough, but Dale and the guys never quit. Budweiser, Quaker State, and Mac Tool and Eagle Snack stuck with us and finally made it. I'm sorry that Craig had some problems over there.
If it is true that the public is fickle and only wants what's hot at the moment, then drag racing fans are the exception to the rule, loyal and supportive throughout thick and thin.
Nothing offsets the disappointment of losing, no matter what it is, but it's great to come back and see the fans still care about you, and they still say to you, Kenny, it's not your week. Next week you'll go get them. And yes, that makes you feel good, but it's awful hard to enjoy losing, believe me, with anything. But we have a lot of great following, and we appreciate it. Again, I can't stress enough, the fan is so important to our sport.
To become a Winston champion requires consistency throughout a season, not just winning performance at some races. And that lack of consistency, first and second round losses, cost Kenny and Dale the championship in '91 and haunted them again in '92. Following Kenny's 300-mile-an-hour blast at the Gator Nationals, no one else was able to duplicate his feat. In fact, the next time fans would see 300 on a scoreboard would be Kenny's 300.4-mile-per-hour blast in qualifying at the Summer Nationals. Now, that was the upside. The downside was a first-round loss to Jack Overland. In 1992, race fans would only see 300 one more time, when Kenny and Dale ran 301.2 miles per hour in qualifying for the U.S. Nationals. At the Chief Nationals, Kenny and Dale lowered the elapsed time record to 4.79 seconds. National records are a source of pride to any team. They don't win races. In Dallas, Kenny went out in the second round to Shelley Anderson.
You push the envelope every time you go to the racetrack, every time you go down the racetrack. You take what it will give you based on atmospheric conditions and track conditions, and you're trying to push the envelope every run. I can't remember once that the Budweiser King team and Dale Armstrong hasn't pushed that envelope as much as it will give us. And we overdo it many times, but at the same time, we'll pull up those numbers that astonish ourselves and the world at the same time.
Painters say there is nothing as exciting as a fresh canvas. Within the borders of the stretch material, there are 1,000 promises. For drag racers, the canvas is the NHRA Winston Drag Racing Series, and the first brush strokes are the Winter Nationals. Perhaps it is the nature of the word promise, the idea of having hope, that makes us forget there is a downside, a darkness hidden in the expectations. It is the optimist in us that looks at the positives of a season just past and believe it portends good for the upcoming season. But a glass is neither half full nor half empty. It is simply a half a glass of water. Therefore, promises are not always a guarantee of good, just a reminder to expect. Kenny Bernstein and Dale Armstrong began 1993 with promises of success, but what they found instead was the dark side.
best feeling I can tell you is that almost you're helpless. You're a rider. You just, at one point, you fight the car as long as you can, trying to steer it and stop it and doing the things that it's telling you to do. And then it finally goes past that point of no return. You just become a rider. And it does seem like a long time. I remember the one in Pomona when it turned around backwards. I said to myself, it's going to hit something hard here pretty soon. And it seemed like it took forever before it finally went across and hit the guardrail on the other side. But, you know, it is quite slower than you can imagine. But the main thing is you just become a rider at a certain point, and there's nothing you can do but just hang on. And the only thoughts that I've ever had through my mind during those points of time is don't hit something real hard, because they know you're fixing to hit something hard. It's going to hurt.
The first thing that goes through your head is Kenny, because you can't see much from the starting line because there's either a lot of smoke or you know, your vision is obliterated, and so your first thought is to get there. And then when you get there, you sort of hope that you're not the first one there in case it's real bad, you know. But usually the safety crew is there by then, and at Pomona, when he crashed so bad and I got down there, as soon as I jumped out of the truck to go running over to him, somebody yelled that he's conscious and talking. He's okay, Dale. So I mean, it's just a relief to hear that.
The nature of a job often forces on us a point of view. Kenny and Dale are both racers, yet because of their jobs, driver and crew chief, they tend to look at the sport differently. For Kenny, that means not even reviewing footage of incidents, while for Dale, it means accepting and expecting the worst.
I haven't really seen much of it. In fact, it's kind of funny. I don't really care to look at them because I don't really see why should I put that mental picture in my mind. I don't need that. I'm not, you know, there's no reason to. And the first thing that happened when the one you talked about in Maple Grove, I had never seen it. And I was in a studio doing a TV interview, and they popped it up in front of me and said, "Hey, tell us what happened here." And I had never seen it before. So, and I haven't seen the one in Pomona yet to this day. I've seen partials of it as accidents when they pop up on the screen at the Nationals or something, or in one of the races, and I happen to catch a taste. But I've never looked through them and studied them and said, hey, this is what took place. It's just not a reason for me to do that. I see no reason to put that picture in my mind.
I myself try to visualize a run before it happens, rather than just standing there unprepared. And I mean, as far as what the car's going to do, but also try and visualize some kind of a disaster, so that what you can do and prepare yourself for it, and try to prevent it. I mean, that's when you're always looking at what could go wrong here that could get a person in trouble and injure somebody, you know. So you just have to make yourself do that instead of just going along and getting in a pattern where nothing ever goes wrong, because those things, once you get lax, they'll jump up and really bite you.